the 7-day right there. Thanks so much for that, Iris. You know, an Arizona woman travels halfway around the world to attend Le Cordon Bleu, and a bittersweet experience blossoms into a new gluten-free business and her husband's lifesaver.
Hi, good morning. Everything here is gluten-free friendly.
I'll sample some black and white pepperoni.
Had you told me 3 years ago you're going to be a pastry chef, I would have said, no, I'm not.
They're just yummy. I just can't tell the difference.
Growing up, my dream was to always be a Broadway musical star. I realized that I was just missing that sense of creativity, that creative outlet that I got from my singing before. And if you're a creative, artistic person, you need that outlet in order to be happy. And for me, baking kind of became that.
I had a brownie. It was delicious.
I bake everything in a separate section of the kitchen as well. Gluten is the protein that's found in wheat, barley, spelt, and rye. For various different reasons, there are many people today that are being diagnosed with gluten intolerance. Wheat has not changed the way it's been cultivated, but a lot of the processing of the foods has changed. So for some people, if they eat wheat in its most original form, it's okay, but because they're eating such processed wheat, it hurts their stomach. What I've been doing is figuring out different balances of different flours and how I can create something that mimics wheat flour most closely. But this is what I call my white bread mix. This is my cookie flour mix. This is my all-purpose flour mix because I probably use it in most of my products. This is my cupcake mix. It's not just, oh, I want to be a baker and we follow a recipe. It's figuring out the properties of every flour, you know, the smell of every flour, the taste of every flour. It all has its own individual properties, and how can I combine these different flours to make the perfect flour? I think I'll continue to improve them, and I'll continue to change them as I learn more. These, for now, I want to share my products with you, and I want to share my knowledge with you, but these are secret. Bye. Have a good day.
All right, and guess what? Orly Gottesman is here to talk about her gluten-free products. Just saw in the story there, pretty fascinating, very interesting there. Thanks for waking up with us.
I know. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
What was this process like for you to start creating these gluten-free products?
Well, it started with, I lived in Paris, and I was training under a French pastry chef over there, and that was my introduction to French pastry in general. And my husband, having celiac, I was always experimenting with gluten-free cooking.
Right.
And then when I started Le Cordon Bleu in Sydney, I got really excited about taking the recipes that I was making in school and trying to adapt them to be gluten-free. It was kind of a challenge that I gave myself. Yeah. And I worked with a chef on my program on an independent study. And every week he would give me, you know, a new French pastry to try. And that's kind of the
how you got started.
Yeah.
So I bet your husband, I mean, because he probably couldn't eat any sweets and things like that. How hard was it to find stuff?
You know, Paris was kind of a nightmare for him because he couldn't eat the croissants or the baguettes. And then in Sydney, he'd come home from work every day and he'd be like, honey, what do you have for me to try today?
So what do you have? We have some delicious looking snacks here. Kind of walk us through what each of these is.
So these are actually products that I've created for Chompies, where I'm the resident gluten-free chef over the summer. And we've tried to take from some of the Chompies New York themes and created something, a gluten-free version. So these are our coffee cake crumb muffins.
Okay.
Which one are you going to taste, Iris?
I don't know. I'm having her explain them.
These are our pecan chocolate chunk cookies.
Ooh.
These are peanut butter brownies. And these are our black and white cupcakes. And in the front, we have our challah brioche rolls.
Is it harder to make gluten-free as opposed to not gluten-free?
Absolutely.
Really?
When you're making not gluten-free, you're using wheat flour, and that's about it. For me, I have different flour mixtures that I create for different products. So if I'm making bread, I have to combine 6 different types of gluten-free flours to get that kind of feeling of one regular wheat flour.
That is exciting. Okay, so does it taste the same? I'm going to taste it.
I think it tastes the same, and I've gotten feedback that it tastes the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I can't even tell that it's any different from a regular cookie.
Yeah.
I doubt it would be. Yeah.
No.
Well, it could. I've had really bad gluten-free products that, you know, they use just the rice flour, just the potato starch, and it tastes like sand in your mouth.
Yeah.
But because I do combine all the different flours together to create and mimic a real wheat flour, that's why I'm able to yield this type of delicious product.
We love
educating us on this.
For the education. And again, she said you can find her stuff at Chompies there. Stay with us. We have a lot more to talk about, especially with that excessive heat moving in.